Can you get them all?
All right, are you okay to start the time?
Yep, I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure our city attorney and some other people were on here.
Sure.
You may begin.
Ready? Jim the Hat Palmer. And I'm been a realtor in Lenawee County for 34 years. Past president, served on a board of directors of the Michigan Association of Realtors, have fought this dilemma before. From that board, I was on their property management team up there, and we had a group just for that. We figured the whole state of Michigan, believe it or not, there's 43,000 licensed people in the state of Michigan. We have 26,000 who are realtors. We're an organization that responds and stands on private property ownership. To not put a burden on private property ownership that is not required in a transaction. Example, here in the city of Adrian, how many houses are on the Erie Street? Any of you know? It's public information. There's 81 of them. 16 of them are owned by one owner. There's 26 who have absentee owners to those properties. Are you going to change every time? You're going to charge them $200 every time they have a new renter? Renters that can't afford what they have to pay, they'll get in there and they may have their money to come in the first month and then they're gone. Every time you do that, you're affecting the value of the marketplace. How many of you members of the council here, board, elected officials? Any of you own rental property? You don't have to raise your hand. I know you do, because I can look it up on public record. Another thing I want to ask, how many of you belong to the Renters Association of Adrian? Any of you? Probably some of you do. Can't prove that. 500 to 600 houses in Adrian are sold. That's what's recorded. You're opening up a Pandora's box that can hurt a lot of people, and not just the elderly, but people who are trying to get in for the first time, trying to buy a house to live in, and they won't be able to afford it because they have to wait. And they may not have the opportunity to wait for another month or 60 days or 90 days because their finance will change, as was told by our vice president. She's right on spot, you guys, come on. Leave it like it is. It's not for the realtors to make money, it's to put people in housing. Housing, their own personal housing. If they don't keep it like some others do, they have that choice. It's private property ownership. Please respond to that. I live at 6970 South Occidental Highway, Raisin Township, and I'm a trustee out there. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is David Corder. I'm a local real estate broker with Howard Hanna. I'm also a local property manager and I have rentals. Just a couple points. If you have
What's your address, please?
7842 Clark's in Addison. So just a couple points. If before you enact the ordinance, I want you to take a drive through Romulus and I want you to take a drive through Wyandotte. And I mean, and I'll go with you and I'll have a guided tour because it does not, this time of sale does not eliminate blight completely. Okay. Does not eliminate blight completely. Housing affordability isn't at an all-time low. It's very difficult for people for rental affordability and for purchasing affordability. You'll see that even change even more as interest rates rise. That'll make a difference in the next coming year. You'll have to have a new department. Jake, Glenn, they do a great job, but you'll have to have a new department. You'll have to staff a new department. Having a landlord, speaking just for landlords, having a landlord for every tenant that moves out would be a difficult process, would be a very difficult and costly process. to have it inspected every time. And right now, I know from two people who are private property owners that, the city has gone around and asked them to paint their house. They sent them notices and they had to paint their house. And so you already have something in effect with that, because I know two people that have told me that, and I wish I could name names, but I can't. Now, I know I live out of town, I work in town, but not every landlord that lives out of town, is a slumlord. Okay, you can go by my properties, they look decent, the properties we manage, we take care of them, we have pride. We have pride in our properties. So not everybody is, don't put us all into that group, please, okay? Anyway, well, thank you for your time. I think it's important that people take care of their houses, and as Mr. Fallhaber said, it affects everybody, but I'm not certain the time of sale is going to make the difference. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Murray. My address is 1004 Sawmill. I'm an Adrian resident, a longtime landlord and business owner in the community. And I am on the committee that has been working this past year and a half, along with many of you and people in our community, to try to develop a way to move our community ahead. And I want to thank you for the effort and time that you've put into this. And as you can see here, nothing is easy. And of course, an ordinance like this, it is the devil in the details that I know that you as commissioners will take care of in a caring and impassioned way, that we will not hurt those who are most vulnerable. But I would challenge you that some of the most vulnerable people live next to the dumpy homes. And they've lived next to those homes for decades in and out, as Ben Negrin mentioned. And my question to you as commissioners, is there any standard of any kind in the community that we expect you as leaders of our community to hold us accountable to? Or can anybody do anything they want with a piece of property that they own? I believe that those of us in the community, we don't want anybody to have a choice of doing anything they want with a piece of their property. We want you to hold us all accountable to some minimum standard. And there are homes in this community that don't get near that. And they haven't gotten near it for decades. I don't live in one of those areas. I live in an area where I don't have the problem. But I do think you and us, we owe it to the people that do live next to one of those homes to do something for them. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Will Garcia, and I live at 704 Comstock Street in a neighborhood that will be disproportionately impacted by a point of sale ordinance. When I heard that our commission was bringing this back to the table, I won't lie, I was incredibly disappointed, not because I think that blight is not an important issue. It's an incredibly important issue. We've seen countless programs throughout the United States of America that have been used to effectively fight blight, and it has led to an increase in standard of living and decreases in things like crime and the overall harm in the community. It's an important thing. But when our first action that I'm seeing in the Telegram, that I'm hearing about on the radio, that I'm seeing in the meeting minutes, that I'm watching in these meetings, is a punitive measure, frankly, that is only going to disproportionately impact the most marginalized in our community, I had to be a bit bewildered. Blight only gets resolved when we fix buildings. I know that sounds incredibly obvious, but it's the truth. And I fail to see how charging a fee or a tax to people who are already struggling economically is going to fix a building. I pulled the outstanding code enforcement records on outstanding owner-occupied properties. All the ones that I saw were from people who, it was in the notes, could not afford to make the repair. So when we look at how we're actually going to address this issue of owner-occupied blight, I don't think it's because people in our community, at least by and large, are unwilling to make these repairs. I don't think it's because people in our community like to live in dumpy housing, at least by and large. I don't think it's because people in our community have a real choice in this matter. I think that decades of policy have made members of our community desperate, frankly. We're in a community in this city of Adrian where 2 in 3 people are unable to make ends meet. That's not me just saying that, that's the United Way. So when we look at how we're going to actually take on owner occupied blight, priority 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 needs to be the establishment of a grant program that can actually help people directly afford these repairs. And I guarantee that if we look at the amount of money we would spend on enforcing and implementing this, and we compare that to what would actually happen if we put those resources to directly fixing buildings, which, as I said, is the only way you can solve blight, I think we're going to get a better outcome if we just help people out. Thank you so much for your time. I really encourage you to reconsider this initiative.
Wendy Richard, 1159 West Maumee Street, for 45 years, almost 46, long time. Is there a published list of criteria or checklist that his property is identified as blight with? If so, is this available to view or receive a copy of? And what happens after a property is identified as blight? Specifically, what are the steps that are taken about after a property is considered? What would a POS inspection correct blighted properties if the property is not for sale? Waiting for a property to sell is not addressing blight. What is reasonable cause for blighted property that is not for sale? When a property owner places their property up for sale, they are then subject to some inspections. Is this not doubling down? Not all blighted property is for sale. Not all property is blighted. Not all property needs this inspection. Not all property owners are placing their property up for sale. POS ordinance does not address the immediate need for blighted property to be addressed. It would, however, prolong the blighted property from being addressed in a timely manner. How much would the city charge and what would the revenue be used for? Let's concentrate on the blighted properties that are certainly visible and need to be addressed. Let us not charge an entire city of property owners who have maintained their property for years. One size does not fit all. Thank you.
Kirk Valentine, 969 West Maumee Street. Previous speaker hit most of the points that I was going to hit, so I'm going to be really brief. I think you're just trying to throw a wide blanket over this. I realize that blight is a bit of a moving target, but to me, before you implement another program, let's get good at the ones that you already have in place, because you're not. I can point to several homes right around my business that I have on the east side, and the yard will look pretty good for a while. And the next thing you know, they've got a collection of trash bags, broken barbecue grills, and tires. I'm not sure if they collect them on purpose or if people just drop them off in their yard, but that quickly happens. So to me, before you just start another program where you're revenue gathering, let's get good at what you're already doing.
Hi, thank you. My name is Mary Clymer, 3380 West Circle Drive. I just had a couple of questions in reference to if a home goes into foreclosure, who's going to be responsible for bringing that up to code? Or if you get a home back because of taxes, who's going to be responsible for bringing that up to code? And what if there's an estate that someone inherits? Who's going to be responsible for that? Thank you.
Tom Blanton. I'm on Highland Drive. I'd like to say that I represent some of the neighbors in my neighborhood there. Most of our neighbors have one little kitchen trash bag every week. And now you want us to get a tote for that?
This is on point of sale inspection.
What?
Sorry, this comment, this time right now, this open forum is on our point of sale inspection.
Sorry.
Yes, it's okay.
Ricky Holland, 2705 East Carlton Road. I'm a local lender in the area who helps primarily first-time home buyers. And I can say that this is going to hurt first-time home buyers. A lot of them are already strapped for cash anyway, pulling up the money for appraisal, or the appraisal in most cases are going to pick up any of the broken windows, peeling paint, handrails, any of those issues that this is going to, it's pretty much doubling down every time on this with that and inspection and appraisal. It's going to hold up the process, probably going to lose out on houses. And it's just going to overall just hurt the first-time home buyers. Thanks.
At this time, we will take comment from any Zoom participants. And you should see the screen on there showing your time. And also, please, for the record, state your name and address.
Ken Tokars, 110 South Locust. I support your efforts with blight, but I do not support a point of sale ordinance at this point in time. The city has failed to address blight, and now it's like you're going at it like you're going to run a marathon when you're just learning to walk. I've been here since 2006, and I have not seen any of the changes. You guys say that you're going to take care of this, and my concern is that there's going to be inconsistencies. You already documented that you have inconsistencies in the way that city managers approached blight. So it's not to say that the next city manager is going to have that same type of ignorance of blight. Another thing where the city's failed, the city spent $70,000 for a downtown building to support it or come in and do something. So the city will do that if it's a downtown building. So you have failed, and I'm not saying you guys have failed as a group, but the city commission as a whole has failed, because if you did that for a downtown property, you should have been doing that to the whole east side of town all this time, and you haven't. The other part is you guys have the tools to do this. One of the, I see a lot of issues in my town. I did not see the issue. You declared public nuisances on 2 properties earlier this year. A Marine veteran, you kicked him out of his house. You guys have the tools to do this. You're just not doing the tools. Kristen Brown, the assessor, she documented at the last meeting that she has not been doing the inspections she's supposed to do. Do the inspections you're supposed to do, address blight that's on the books, and then once you get that done, then you can go and run a marathon and have a point of sale. Now is not the time.
Jeff Rising, you may go.
Hi, Jeff Rising, 165 Orchard Road, also broker owner of Remax Main Street Realty in downtown Adrian. So I just did a quick search. I agree with the woman. She made a good point a few speakers ago that not every house is for sale, and not every house that's for sale is blighted. So I did a little research really quick, and in 2021 there were 301 residential home sales in the city of Adrian, and only about 10% of those were under $50,000, which more than likely had some sort of blight attached to them. So you're talking 30 homes a year that's going to be positively affected by this ordinance. And we all know that 2021 was an unusual year for real estate. Sales are up like crazy. Everyone knows that. So I went back to 2018, and there were 222 sales in the city in 2018. So again, maybe 10 or 15% of those are blighted. You're talking 20 homes a year. This seems like a really, really great overreach to fix up 20 or 30 homes a year out of the thousands of homes that are in the city of Adrian. And that is it. That's all I had.
Madam Mayor, can I have a second opinion on, from the Land Bank of Lenawee County? I'm on that committee.
Same person.
Jim, usually we only allow
Yeah.
one.
I
per
appreciate that, but I
person.
want to emphasize to you that, and Lynn Punnett's on that committee also, and I want to tell you right now that we have helped Land Bank. I've been on that, I'm one of the original members and still am. Since 2011, we have helped a lot of the blight in Lenawee County, city of Adrian. You know how many houses we've got state money to come in here and take away some properties, level houses that were completely blighted, put brand new properties up on them. We've helped the, if you will, I'll give you an example on the corner of Locust and Maple. We took down an 8-unit that was blighted, and now there are 2 brand new homes on that corner. It happens. Let this work. Let this work, and you'll be happy.
Thanks, Jim. Was there any other comment on the point of sale ordinance at this point? Proposed point of sale ordinance, or the concept of point of sale ordinance? Okay, hearing none, Mayor, I'll turn the pre-meeting back over to you.
Okay, and at this time, we're just going to have a little bit of public comment for anything that was addressed in the other room that maybe you did not have time to address because we were trying to get out here and I think people were feeling rushed, which would be about the trash discussion or the presentation that was given. Is there any more public comment about that? And this would be your time, Mr. Button. You can come up and do that now if you want.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't understand what the problem is with the current trash pickup. Most of my neighbors have one little kitchen trash bag every week. And we bring
I know
our,
you gave us your address before, but can you just give us
my
your name
name's
and address?
Tom
Sorry.
Blanton. I live at 366 Highland Drive. And from my understanding, we're going to get a tote for that. And we're going to get charged almost double what we are now. Is that correct?
We cannot address you during public comment. Sorry, it's your time. Sorry. But I can talk to you afterwards.
After you vote?
No, we're not voting on this tonight at all.
Okay. Also, I understand that we're going to be the recycle. I understand that only 10% of the city recycles right now in those totes. I don't understand the urgency to get all those recycle bins. I don't understand that at all. I thank you very much for your letting me comment.
Hearing no more public comment, may I get a motion to adjourn the work study session pre-meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned and the regular meeting will begin at 7 p.m. I will wait for Commissioner Gauss. I call to order the Adrian City Commission meeting for March 21st, 2022. Everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Halt,
Present.
Commissioner Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Strayer,
Present.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Present.
Commissioner Gauss,
Present.
all commission members present.
At this time, I'm going to read a proclamation that was given yesterday. One of the very last benches in the Adopt a Bench program had been dedicated to Masahiro Kojima, who has been very instrumental in our sister-city relationship and actually came here to help us with that sister-city relationship and has lived in Adrian since that time. And they had gotten a bench a couple years ago and it finally arrived thanks to COVID. It had taken quite a while. And so that bench is located in Comstock Park, looking right at the river. If you ever want to try to go find it. And there is there's a plaque that is on there. His wife's family is who purchased and dedicated this bench, but we wanted as the city to also just reach out and give our thanks to Masahiro for all that he has done throughout these years for the city. Lenawee Intermediate School District was also there, as well as many other different entities within our community thanking him for all of these years of his service. So at this time, I'm going to read the proclamation that was given to him and his wife yesterday. Whereas the city of Adrian has enjoyed a sister city relationship with Moriyama, Japan for over 30 years. And whereas Masahiro Kojima began his involvement with the sister city relationship in 1989, when he was assigned as the interpreter during the signing of the sister city agreement. And whereas Masahiro moved to the United States in 2002 and began serving as a liaison and interpreter for the sister cities, helping Adrian with translating and finding host families. And whereas Masahiro was a member of the Michigan Shiga Sister State Board for 25 years, always putting the sister city relationship first. And whereas Masahiro and his wife Cindy worked with Moriyama and the Lenawee Intermediate School District, facilitating many middle school student exchanges each year. Now therefore I, Angie Sword-Heath, Mayor of the City of Adrian, do hereby thank Masahiro Kojima for his years of dedicated service to the sister city relationship of Moriyama and Adrian, and for his friendship to the city of Adrian. Thank you. Moving on to our regular agenda. Under communications, C1 Finance Commissioners, you have the revenue and expenditure report for January 2022. Are there any questions or comments? Moving on to the consent agenda. May I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move we adopt the consent agenda.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Halt with a second from Commissioner Castleberry. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Halt,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Strayer,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath.
Yes.
Consent agenda approved by unanimous vote.
Moving on to our regular agenda. Under special orders. Special order 1 is a public hearing to hear and consider comments on the establishment of a special assessment district for Cherry Street. I now call the public hearing to order, and anyone that would like us to hear their comments regarding the special assessment district for Cherry Street may do so at this time. Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Olis Birch. I own the house on 312 Cherry Street. From what I've read your letter that you sent me, that you're replacing the curbs and the approaches to the driveways. My driveway, the drives, there's nothing wrong with the driveway at all. Would that be replaced?
We just are hearing comments right now. We cannot respond to you right now. Sorry.
Well, another thing I'd like to know is all the streets that you put curbs and stuff on, are they all special assessments? That's something I'd like to know. I own property on the other side of town. They replaced the curbs and the approaches to the driveways, and there was never a special assessment on that property. I just feel it isn't fair to the people that live on the street. Where taxes are, I mean, as you know, taxes are going up all the time. But it's been a concern of mine to keep the place nice and tidy and like this here. And I do have rentals in town. And, you know, if you put a special assessment every time they do something on the street, to me, that would really, it's hard to run a business if you got special assessments coming up all over. It's not, I don't think it's fair to the renters. I don't think it's fair to the property owners. That being a special assessment area, I don't know, I don't feel you guys do it on all the streets that you put. So why would that be a special assessment in that area? I see no reasoning for it. But you guys won't answer any questions. Is that right? It makes you feel like I'm talking to deaf ears, you know? All right, thank you.
My name is Mike Brink, 308 Cherry Street. Now, you guys got in this letter that they're going to charge for removal of curbs. Well, I called down 40 years ago. They told me not to put curbs in because they were going to level out the road. How can you charge somebody for removal when the city plow has already removed them? You know, I think it's wrong. And the whole street on the west side does not have curbs, and you're going to hit every property owner for that. And there's no curbs there. How can you charge somebody something when nothing's there? And the road, we shouldn't be assessed on it either, because you ought to charge Solarskis. When you guys did Maple Avenue and Springbrook, they brought all their big semis down through there and tore our roads up. Thank you.
I would like to ask our city engineer, Matt Tomaseski, to please clarify and answer some of these questions. Thank you.
Can you hear me? As far as assessments goes for our street projects, it's based on a reconstruct basis. So if it's a mill and resurface, we do spot curb. If it's a full reconstruct, we take all the curb out and all the drive approaches in order to catch better grade for our drainage, in order to collect all the stormwater. Summer and Cherry don't have a lot of curb on it right now. We will not be charging to remove that curb. It's just miscellaneous curb. There's nothing to charge for there. So you won't get charged for removal, but you will get charged for to replace that curb that was never put in to begin with. And this is all just to collect the stormwater better and keep it off your guys' property. Just really manage the area a little bit more.
Matt, just to clarify, the property owners are not being special assessed for the cost of paving, only for the related curb and driveway approaches.
That is correct. None of the assessment is paid for the paving or the base. It's just for the curb and the drive approaches that you guys currently own.
Could I ask him a question?
You may come up and ask.
If our approaches to our driveways are in very good repair, are you going to tear them out and charge us for that, or?
Yeah, so again, we will have to change the grade of the road. So changing the grade of the road will require us to take out the driveway. And actually your driveways will have more of a slope to them. in some cases. But in order to put curb in, we have to tear out the drive approaches. Unless your drive approach was redone within the last 3 years, the city will take on that payment.
My drive is pretty new. I'm not sure when the last time it was done, but there's nothing wrong with it at all.
Unfortunately, it's something that will have to come out with the construction process.
Thank you.
And I am here after too, if anyone has any additional questions.
I know somebody is trying to get on for public comment on Zoom. You may go.
Ken Tokars, 110 South Locust. I do not support special assessment districts, and I would ask that you do not approve this. Earlier today, you guys are basing decisions upon crash on what other communities do. Other communities, Tecumseh for one, they do not charge special assessments for curb and gutter. Another concern I have with special assessments is that the city is historically inconsistent in their special assessment districts. You guys are putting in streetlights in downtown, and you're not charging the property owners a special assessment district for that. Since 2006, you've redone the streets 3 times, and you didn't charge a special assessment district for that. So you guys do this for some properties, but you don't do it for another. Another example of someone who will never get a special assessment district for curb and gutter is residents of Trenton Hills. Why didn't you make them put curb and gutter and sidewalks in when they built those houses? There's a lot of inconsistency, and I think you're just hitting certain residents with this, so I'm against special assessment districts. Thank you.
Hearing no more comments, I call this public hearing closed. Moving on to special order 2. It's a public hearing to hear and consider comments on the establishment of a special assessment district for Summer Street. I call this public hearing open, and at this time, anyone may come forward with comments regarding that special assessment district for Summer Street.
Okay, I just have a question for the engineer. You said that you were doing repaving or regrading of the roads. So does that mean that the whole entire road's getting repaved, or is it just the sections in front of your drive approach that would be regraded?
The entirety of the street will be repaved.
Okay. So it's
From,
from Maple all the way back?
from
then?
Maple from Maple to River Street.
Okay,
Will all get repaved.
thank you. That was on you. And the address is 533 West Maple, Colbo Bin. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment.
Ken Tokars, 110 South Locust. I disagree with this special assessment for the same reason. You guys have not charged a special assessment district for the DDA properties for the streetlights. You haven't done it for the roads. And another thing that just came to mind is you never charged a special assessment district to the DDA properties for the $70,000 that you put in to stabilize a building in that community. So once again, you guys are not consistent, and that is why I do not support special assessment districts in the city of Adrian.
Hearing no more comments, I call this public hearing closed. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution R 22-015 is from engineering. It is a resolution to establish special assessment district number 393 Cherry Street, River to Maple. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any public comments?
My name is Dorothy Schmidt, and I live at 428 Elm Street on the east side. You're talking about Cherry Street and River Street at Maple. Maple Street is one street over from me. I don't know if you're aware, I had to wear my winter coat in the house all for the month of February. That I had cold air, I mean freezing below zero air coming through my registers. I live at the corner of Butler and Elm Street. And consequently, when you're doing drains anywhere on Maple Street, I am affected because the drains go from the west side all the way to the fairgrounds. And so I am concerned because this truly was the worst winter I've ever had in Adrian. And I am not notified of the kinds of things that are happening in Adrian. The planning commission does not, and we lost our newspaper, you know that they're tearing down the buildings along River Street or along Winter Street. The whole stretch will be disappearing. So we have more buildings coming down than anything else, and consequently more rebuilding of the infrastructure at this time. We have no, due to the pandemic, we have no communication whatsoever with the city. I used to be able to call the water department and talk to them, and they would come out and talk to me and see what our problem was, and we could solve it right up front. That did not happen with the pandemic. The city was closed, the water system is closed, the drainage system is closed. And none of us as citizens, as owners of homes, have anything to say what's happening to our property. And over 50% of Adrian are move-in, move-out people. This week I've had 2 houses move out and new people move in on Butler Street. And how many more will be, I don't know. But the homeowners are a minority in the city, and we are not informed of anything that's going on in the city. Thank you.
Ken Tokars, 110 South Locust. I would like to add a friendly amendment that you include within this special assessment district, a 50% special assessment district to DDA properties for the streetlights that the city is installing. I'm looking for one commissioner to support and a second to support it. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment, are there any commissioner comments? I guess one of my questions on this to our city administrator, to our city engineer is just that, what is the timing of this with school? Because that's in a relative close area with the buses and all of that happening right there with the Alexander Elementary.
We've been in discussions with the school. It should not impact them. It'll be after school is out, and it's also not adjacent to, I can't think of what school that is, Springbrook School right there. So they are aware of the construction going on, but it should not impact them at all.
I have a motion from Commissioner Miller with a second from Commissioner Gauss. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Strayer,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Halt.
Yes.
Resolution adopted by unanimous vote.
Resolution R 22-016 is from engineering. It is a resolution to establish special assessment district number 394 Summer Street, River to Maple. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any public comments? Are there any commissioner comments? I just want to correct myself on the previous resolution. It was Commissioner Miller with a second from Commissioner Strayer. I'm sorry about that. On this resolution, we have a motion from Commissioner Miller with a second from Commissioner Strayer. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Strayer,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Hou,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Resolution adopted by unanimous vote.
Resolution R 22-017 is from administration. It is a resolution to authorize the city administrator to apply for the T-Mobile Hometown Grant. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
Move we adopt the resolution.
Support.
Are there any public comments?
I don't understand what it is.
Can you state your name and address and then ask that question?
Tom Blanton, 366 Highland Drive. What is the T-Mobile hometown?
City Administrator Greg Elliott, will you like?
Yeah, it's a grant opportunity up to $50,000 from the T-Mobile, the cellular company. It can be used for various small town enhancement projects. We're intending to apply for enhancements to our farmers market area to include bathrooms and upgraded electrical to have 220 volt electrical over there.
Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment, are there any commissioner comments? I have a motion from Commissioner Halt with a second from Commissioner Castleberry. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Strayer,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Hou,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Resolution adopted by unanimous vote.
Commissioners, there are miscellaneous reports in your packet. Are there any questions or comments on those reports? Moving on, it is now time for public comment. Just to reiterate, there's a 3-minute time limit, and for the record, please state your name and address. And this does not have to pertain to anything that was on the agenda. This is just open public comment. I will start in-house first, and if there are no comments in-house, we will move on to Zoom members.
Tom Blanton, 366 Highland Drive. I did it.
You did it. You got it this time.
I would urge the commission to please post things beside on your website. Please put it in the paper, put it in on radio, something besides just on your website. Not many people look at that website. Thank you.
Tom Fallhaber, 419 Budlong Street. I wanted to make a further comment about the point of sale thing. A point I wanted to make. Maybe there would be more palatable to the public if we just started with rental properties rather than doing point of sale for owner occupied properties. I think the focus should be rental properties are about 50% of the city. And I think that's probably, I'm going to guess that creates probably 75% of the problems in the city with blight. If we just, as Mr. Valentine stated earlier, we just do a better job enforcing our existing ordinances for property inspections for rental properties, vacant building ordinances and property maintenance codes. We got a lot of tools already to battle this problem. We're not doing it. And if we just focus on the rental properties for any point of sale and leave the owner occupieds out of the deal, I think the community would embrace it more if it were to
be passed by this commission. So just a thought. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment inside the city chambers, we will now open up public comment to those on Zoom. Also on Zoom, you will see the time limit on your screen, and please state your name and address, even if you are participating via Zoom. Thank you.
Ken Tokars, 110 South Locust. I guess I want to go back to the beginning of the meeting when I asked about commissioners' responsibilities during other meetings. I think I was also involved in the human relations meeting, and I think that actually what took place, and I can't remember who from the city commission was there, but someone on the human relations said, "Oh, I don't want to vote right now. I want to wait until I hear everybody else's vote." And I guess I'm hoping that Mr. Galuli can kind of like what's the commissioner's responsibility when they're assigned to one of these meetings? Are they there as not just a commissioner, but as far as enforcing Robert's Rules of Order? I mean, you got to have some consistency throughout the city, and it makes it very hard on the public when, oh, I'm in this meeting, I can do this. This one, it's very strict. So you guys are sending a very inconsistent meeting out to the public, and I wish that you could address that. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment, are there any commissioner comments? Commissioner Roberts?
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who came tonight and took time out of their busy schedules to give us their opinions about what we're thinking about doing. I also want to encourage you, if you would like more of a back and forth answers, it would be to your benefit to email us and or contact City Hall so that we can have a conversation about what we're thinking about. So our email addresses are out there on the website. City Hall's phone number is there. Mr. Elliott meets and discusses things. So does Mr. Tomaszewski with our residents. And that might be an option for you, or that is an option for you. So thank you.
I would actually just like to address, City Administrator Greg Ellie and I had a discussion this past week about this. And I just want to clarify that our other commissions that meet for the city, they are definitely more discussion based. They are not, there is a lot of conversation that goes on with amongst those commissioners. They're looking at plans. If it's the planning commission, they're talking about those site plans. They're discussing ordinances. Maybe it's something with ZBA that they're discussing Human Relations Commission the same way. They are definitely set up a little different. They're more discussion based. However, they still ask for public comment at those. They are not allowed to just have anybody interject for public comment unless it is someone that has been asked there to actually speak on a matter. And at that point, then a commissioner may ask them to speak, just like I had asked our city engineer to speak to that, or our city administrator, Greg Elliott, to speak to something tonight. It is set up exactly the same way where the chair or someone on that commission may ask someone that is involved with the process, whether it be a site plan or whatever it may be for whichever commission, but it is still the same setup. They still have public comment at the end, just like we do. And not everybody, I don't know if the planning commission has a 3-minute time limit, but they do. They've never even gotten to that point, I don't think, anyways, with the other meetings I've been to. But those meetings are set up exactly the same as ours. However, they are definitely more discussion based. That is the purpose of those meetings. That is where that discussion has to happen. Our discussion happens in our pre-meeting. So it's that kind of environment. When we're up here at a city commission meeting, it is more formal. It is not as much discussion based amongst commissioners. It has been at times, depending on what the topic is. But our discussions and all of that happen in those pre-meetings. And that is where that takes place for us. But that's not the case for a planning commission. That discussion happens in their meeting. That's not the case for zoning board of appeals. It happens in those meetings. And that is the setup for those commission meetings. So I just wanted to clarify that. Commissioner Halt?
Myself, the mayor, and Commissioner Strayer have been meeting in our blight committees for about 1.5 years now. Talking with communities around the country, Wyandotte, Michigan, Mobile, Alabama, and St. Petersburg, Florida. These communities have, or they had, a very, very high rate of blight in their community. Blight affects everybody. The amount of blight the city of Adrian has, you know, and Commissioner Fallhaber sat right next to me for 4 years, and he would talk and talk and talk and talk about it. And I'll be honest, that wasn't my agenda. My agenda was preserving the oil trust for generations, stop the no bid contracts. He had his passion, I had mine. So I will give him credit for that now. Since the article in the paper came out, my inbox has been full. I've been approaching my business about the proposed ordinance. 100% positive by the people that I represent. A couple comments were made in the forum that I'd like to address. First, Mr. David Corder, realtor from Addison. If you have rental properties and a tenant moves out, you don't have to pay for an inspection. It would be at the point of sale. That's when money exchanges. That's when those repairs should be made. Simple as that. When I bought my business 6 years ago, the previous owner, Jerry Gallatin, in order for me to get my health department license, I had to pay $500. And I had to have a new owner inspection in order for me to have the license in my name. Jerry's a friend of mine. He was not happy about that, but that's when you do these kind of things, when money exchanges hands. Will Garcia, his comment about, this is our first course of action. He's wrong. Our first course of action was, first of all, taking time out of our regular first and third Mondays and sitting in Friday night meetings for 2 hours discussing how do we combat blight. So what do? We hired a code enforcement officer, a salaried employee that's continuing to get traction on our blight when it comes to our rental inspection program. We felt that wasn't enough. So we hired a community revitalization coordinator to do the administration work for our 2 code enforcement officers. My position then was, I will support that position if we can guarantee have 2 code enforcement officers in the streets combating blight, writing tickets for those that need to have tickets written for. Mr. Valentine's comment about it's a revenue stream for the city. If we go this route, if it gets adopted, it is a revenue neutral. We're not getting, it's not, there's no money for the inspection will go to our general fund at all. Simple as that. So that's, again, misinformation. And I heard a lot of misinformation over the weekend about our trash contract that I hope that Commissioner Roberts did a really good job in the pre-meeting of clearing some of that misinformation up. Again, Tom's my friend, but I will disagree with him on this. We have gotten a ton of traction. If you want to know how much traction we've gotten when it comes to blight, our packet's available online. They are multiple pages of infractions. We're in court with slumlords. The problem is we've allowed this to happen. One of the speakers earlier, they were a commissioner, a 2-time elected commissioner. How come they didn't do anything about it? That's my question to him, right? So now we do something about it and we get pushback, not from the people that I represent, not once, but twice that put me in the seat, about people that don't call Adrian their home. They work here. They may own a rental property here, but they don't live here. The city of Flint is inundated with liquor stores all up and down, but those owners live in Grand Ledge. They don't live in Flint. They don't have a voice in Flint. I am confident in the people that I represent that we are doing as a collective body what's best for everyone. It is not fair for me, for Greg Elliott. I live next door to Greg Elliott and he maintains his property and I have broken windows, a hole in my roof and a sunken porch. That is not fair to him. We're not infringing upon anybody's rights. What we're doing is we're trying to clean the city up. People may call it aggressive, but I call it productive, I call it action, right? Commission's been talked about years and years, blight, blight, blight. You go to the forum, before I was elected the first time, the forum, we're gonna do something about blight. Nothing's done. Now we're doing something about it. When it comes to our low-income citizens that own homes, we talked about a revolving loan fund. Very, very low interest rate, so when those rate, so when those folks go to sell their homes, they can take the loan out to be able to make those repairs. Again, the bigger picture is to take the tools that we learned, that we spent time on over the last year and a half, and to put them in action. That's exactly what we're doing. I'm proud of the work we've done, and again, we are not ramming anything through. We're going to take our time and make sure the realtors have a seat at the table to help us, because again, we are partnering with them. And when the paper said that I have truly believed that we are not going to hinder sales, but we are not even bending the wheel up here. We're not. A lot of communities have it. Our city attorney, 90% of the communities he said in public he represents has this. It is basic maintenance. That's all it is.
May I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Strayer. All in. Oh, was it? No. No. Okay, good. I was right. Yeah. All right. A motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Strayer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.